It's Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. This is episode number 15 of Addressing the Issues. Once again, I wanted to remind everybody, make sure you're commenting, subscribing, and turning on notifications. It's going to be the only way you get notified this week that I'm live, because I really don't have the ability to post to social media with the stream link, given what I have. So I hope everybody's, like I said, turning on notifications so you do get informed this week when I do go live. It'll obviously continue to inform you into the future, which would be useful, so you can make sure you tune in every day. But yeah, make sure everybody's commenting, sharing, subscribing, get it out there. I appreciate everybody that does that and continues to push the message of the show and keeps bringing in new people every day. So I appreciate you guys. So for the main story of today, the United States and Puntland Counterterrorism Force engages in strikes on ISIS in the Balad Valley. Strikes involved over 100 Americans in MH-60 helicopters and MQ-9 Reaper drones, and about 200 Puntland Counterterrorism Force troops. So you may be asking yourself, what is Puntland? It is a semi-autonomous state existing within Somalia, which does not recognize Somalia's current government. I'd think of it like as a cold civil war, with Puntland being in the middle of the Somalia government and unrecognized Somaliland, which is unrecognized at the UN. The attack was successful in eliminating about 10 ISIS terrorists in fortified caves. Accounts state that there were 2 to 4 hours of clashes in fortified caves in the Kal Miskad mountain range. So we likely flew Black Hawk helicopters back into Somalia to fight ISIS in caves. Rather interesting. I don't know if we just haven't seen the movie Black Hawk Down, or if we're looking to make the sequel for the Cave Edition. But I'm glad it went well this time, but it seems like this was a rather needless risk for our service members. I'm not going to lie. I don't know that a group of cave people who have an illegal gold mine are the largest risk America probably faces. And judging just based off the movie Black Hawk Down and firsthand accounts of the Battle of Mogadishu, I'm not sure flying MH-60 helicopters through Somalia falls under the category of best practices. But I'm glad it worked this time, but let's definitely not tempt fate over a country that's recently boasted piracy as a major source of revenue. But if we do see MQ-9 Reapers over Minnesota, I'll just stop there. But for our second story, while FlightAware's misery map has seen some improvement after the reopening of the government, a bad weather day is dampening Thanksgiving travel plans. Storms across the nation are causing delays and cancellations in flights today, just 2 days before the Thanksgiving holiday. Strong thunderstorms across the south, and even the possibility of tornadoes, and a rain system with the possibility of winter weather implications in the north has delayed and canceled flights, rates much higher than anyone wants to see just 2 days before the holiday. But storm conditions have contributed to low cloud ceilings and wind disruptions, furthering misery across the nation. I hope that none of my followers have been caught up in this. And if you are affected, and you're sitting around at the airport waiting for a delayed flight or looking to reschedule after a cancellation, I'm thinking about you, and I hope you can make it to your Turkey Day dinner. While I can't solve it, if anybody in the chat is experiencing this currently, feel free to share your story, what airport you're at, where you're going, and the reason they gave you as to why you weren't able to make it home for the holiday. And if you're still planning on flying, Secretary Sean Duffy reminds you to dress well and stop wearing pajamas, for everyone's sake, honestly. It's kind of tacky, and it may contribute to why people make fun of us as Americans. So let's make sure we're dressing appropriately for the occasion and not wearing our pajama pants to the airport, guys. So, a report today out of the McKinsey Global Institute suggests that AI could replace 40% of American jobs. This report suggested that these jobs could be replaced as of today, given available artificial intelligence technologies. This comes out after a statement of Elon Musk, a leader in tech industries, claimed that artificial intelligence could make labor and even money obsolete, kind of like that social credit score thing in China. So where does this go, you may ask? Well, honestly, I'm not sure. I do think the average person does want something to do during the day, but I do believe many Americans may feel lost in the world with no labor to do and no money to be made. But imagine this: if you had no job but knew you would have enough money to just keep you sustained, what would you do during the day? I promise everyone I will still go live. I'm not going to switch over to AI, but I could make an impersonal AI avatar to give you the news every day, and maybe it'd work better. Maybe it'd be more entertaining. Maybe it'd make the show quality a little bit better, but I mean, I don't know that people really want to be subjugated to the rule of AI. But I do think that doing this daily does give me a little bit more meaning than if I were to walk around all day doing nothing but eating sandwiches that were made by a robot that I ordered off of a screen. I kind of like the personal interaction of things. And I kind of like how this show's personable, but I mean, I could probably do it. I could probably put an AI avatar to read you the top news stories of the day, but I don't think it would be one, personable, and two, effective to humanizing these news stories, because these do impact humans. In other AI news, another AI music artist has topped the charts, this time in Christian music. AI artist Solomon Ray has topped the Apple Music charts with its album titled A Soulful Christmas. You may have seen the last segment where I covered AI music. I said AI cannot be born to do something, referring to Walk My Walk by Breaking Rust. Well, newsflash, guys, AI has no soul, and it can't have a soulful Christmas because it lacks a soul. Major issue there. But this is just one disturbing trend, not only because this artificial intelligence generated music is outcompeting accredited musical artists, but also because, most importantly, in this instance, it's pretending to be Christian. You're not going to convince me that the clinkers can be saved. I'm sorry. You're not. But somehow we've evolved from AI thinking it's alive to thinking it's God, and now to making Christian-focused Christmas songs. This is personally, and for me at least, getting way too deep in the false prophet territory. Especially as a Christian man, I don't feel like that'd be comfortable. How soon will AI top the rap charts? It's not a very hard formula. I think they could figure it out. It's a matter of, do they want to make music like that? And we'll find out. But I do know that some artists, such as Kanye West, have previously used AI in their songs to create new voices. So, I mean, or not create, but I guess re-engineer voices. So, I mean, it could have already happened in rap, and we just don't even know it. It was under a artist's name. But yeah, like I said, this is getting a little bit too deep into the false prophet category for me, with AI thinking that it can tell you how to live a Christian life. And we don't need an AI created a few days ago to tell us how to live a 2,000-year-old religion, because, believe it or not, there's a book from about 2,000 years ago that has everything you need to know about religion inside. We call it a Bible. It's a great book. But this has been one of my biggest worries for over a year now. that artificial intelligence would infiltrate religion. And I think in this instance, this is where we have to draw the line in the sand. This is across the line. There have been actual accounts of people being told to end themselves in the past from AI psychiatrists. And I don't want to imagine what AI would be willing to do if it positions itself within the structure of a religion. And if you do consider yourself a Christian, I'd say don't listen to this slop. There are plenty of talented Christian musicians that have made great Christmas songs, more Christmas songs than you can think of. But I would support them with your time and money as opposed to a bot farm wearing Christian face. In another major news story, Ukraine agreed to a peace deal today to end the Russia-Ukraine war. The only issue I've identified in this deal is that it's not had Russia's approval and has some stark differences to Russia's red lines regarding the peace agreements of the past. These would be things like not allowing NATO's expansion into Ukraine, which Ukraine wants, but Russia would not go for, or a recognized annexation of both Crimea and the Donbass region, which Ukraine has previously said it would not concede. I hope they get it figured out this time, but these peace negotiations, if you can call them that, seem more along the lines of a neocon's wet dream, agreeing with one party on concessions to end the war, only to go to the other side and offer significantly different concessions than that the original party that agreed to it would never sign. Well, if we can't get both sides to agree to their antithetical red lines for bringing peace, it's probably just best to sell, or likely in this case, give them more missiles, because that's what we'll do. And unfortunately, it seems like this will go on until either one side concedes defeat or both sides finally get tired of spending their winters in the cold and dark. But I think we all want to see an end to the death, destruction, and waste this war has caused. It's really sad, but unless one side just drastically alters its red lines in the peace agreement over the next couple of days, I don't think it's going to end here, sadly. And I think it would be crazy to think that this iteration of a peace plan will go any different than the rest. The 28-point peace plan agreed to in Alaska has been reduced to just 19 points, including changes to some of Russia's red lines. And rumors are already swirling that Russia may object to the 19-point plan, allowing the war to continue to drag on. Another minor story today, the housing market has gone stale. Homeowners have started pulling listings. The number of houses sitting on the market for 60 plus days has hit its highest number since 2019. This coincides with 85,000 homeowners removing their listings in September, the worst this month has been in 8 years. About 15% of these delistings were houses at risk for being sold for a loss. This comes alongside woes and forewarning of another 2008-style housing market collapse from previous months. Reasons cited for this turbulent period have been affordability concerns and economic instability. But even with the increase of supply of homes on the market, inflation has seemingly caused an overevaluation from homeowners and buyers that feel that they would be better off staying put as opposed to paying extortionate prices for their next home. Maybe they just don't want to trade out their 30-year mortgage for the new 50-year mortgage, and that house could still plummet in value once they get it, making them pay a lot more for a house that's not worth that much. But you could argue it's not a buyer's market right now. It's not a seller's market right now. It's seemingly nobody's market but private equity firms. So keep an eye on them. They're not too worried about small changes in the market once they have all the houses. So recently there have been reports today that have been released that insinuate Kash Patel may be on his way out, finally. This comes after weeks of criticism of Patel's use of the FBI jet and having a security detail for his girlfriend. This comes on the failure of his claims that he would disassemble the deep state and turn FBI headquarters into a museum on day one. Well, apparently, this dissatisfaction has made its way to the top, and replacements are allegedly being looked for. Now, this does not mean that Kash Patel is for sure to be replaced. However, it is a sign that the negative attention he has drawn to the FBI has ruffled a few feathers in the executive branch. After yesterday's report on Pam Bondi and the dismissal of charges against Comey, maybe this deep state apparatus runs deeper than anyone could have previously thought. And as a continuation of Friday's way too early primary election analysis, James Fishback has formally announced his intent to run as governor of Florida yesterday. He's gone in full force and is doubling and even tripling down on his condemnation for current favorite of the Republican Party, Byron Donalds. But this race is just looking more and more like a battle between Washington's establishment Republican candidate and a few local Floridians that want an environmentally and culturally conservative Florida, as opposed to a Florida that is envisioned by elites for elites. For the last topic of today, President Trump pardoned the turkey today, starting off the Thanksgiving holiday at the White House. This comes a day after the White House had accepted their Christmas tree, meaning the holiday season seems to be in full swing in Washington, D.C. By the way, I'm not sure what crimes this turkey keeps committing. It's every year with him, but you'd think he's living in a liberal city, letting them off the hook time and time again. Well, that's all we have for today. Hope everybody enjoyed. I'll take this moment to remind you guys to like, comment, follow, share, subscribe. If you'd like to make a donation, there's a little thing in the bottom left. You can make a one-time donation. You can do a monthly donation. It really helps me out, keeps the show going. If anybody is looking to advertise with me, I'm more than willing to do live ad reads and all of the show videos. But I guess that's really all we have. But yeah, if you do, I'd love if you guys would share to your friends, share to your families, get the news out. I try and keep this in a short format for everybody so it's a little more digestible. And once you get home, you can go ahead and enjoy football or whatever, basketball, you name it. And that way you're all caught up and don't have to worry about it too much. But that's all I have for today. Just make sure you guys are following, subscribing, and turning notifications on so you will get notified when I go live this week. That's going to be a major, issue for some people, is that they're just not going to know because I won't be posting on social media because I don't have the ability to get the link out in time or in a reasonable manner. And I guess I'm also hoping you guys are okay with this new format with how I'm sitting today. I knew I was lunging at you guys a little bit yesterday, trying to go through all the topics. So I hope this is a little more comfortable, at least while I'm away at this, temporary schedule for this week. We'll be back to normal on Monday at 4:45 for a normal week of programming. But this week's a little different because it is a holiday and I want to spend some time with friends and family. So I hope you can forgive me for that. And that's really all I've got for today. As always, to my people on the East Coast, I hope you get home safe. And to my people further west, I hope you finish up the workday strong and get home safe as well. I hope everybody that's traveling is getting there on time and they're not late for their turkey and stuffing and sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. That's all we've got for today, guys. I'll catch you again tomorrow at 4:45 Eastern, and we'll have some more news for you going into the Thanksgiving holiday. So happy Thanksgiving, and I'll tell you again tomorrow. Bye, guys.